Hi, my name is Faizal and I'm the solutions consultant from NextGen Asia based in Singapore. In this demo, I'm going to show you how to create and manage firewall policies for your Windows or Mac OS native firewall using Falcon Console single pane of glass. There are two components to create for Falcon Firewall Management. First is the rule group, second is the firewall policy. To create the first component, rule group, go to the main menu on the top left corner. Under Endpoint Security, under Firewall, click on Rule Groups. Then, click on the Create Rule Group button. Choose the OS platform, which is either Windows or Mac OS. For my demo, I will be choosing Windows. Set any name you want for this particular rule group. Then click Next. Here you can choose to create the rule group from scratch, or from something that you already created, or from CrowdStrike preset rule groups. I'm going to choose the CrowdStrike preset rule groups, and there are two options that you can choose from. Relax Windows Networking, which is always included below user-defined rule group, or the Core Windows Networking, which is always included above user-defined rule group. I will choose the Core Windows Networking. Here you can see all the rule group details, for example the name of this rule group, the platform, and the status. You can enable this status by just simply clicking on this enable group, and you will see that the status has been changed from disable to enable. You will be able to see all the preset rule groups below, and you can create a new rule group, for example, to allow RDP connection from my PC to my server. Simply by clicking on this create new rule. Fill up the relevant information here. You can choose the action to take to whether to allow or block this action, the direction, whether is it inbound, outbound, or both. And you can check this option, watch mode. Selecting this option is to see the events associated with this rule in Endpoint Security tab, Firewall tab, and under Activity tab. You might want to use these settings for troubleshooting, testing a newly added firewall rule, or monitoring a critical firewall rule. Then choose your network profile. Then click on Create Firewall Rule. You will see your newly created rule at the bottom of this list. And by default, the new rule will be disabled. To enable this, check the box against this new rule. Scroll up and click on the Enable button. And you will see that the status has been changed from disable to enable. Last step is to save this rule group. Next, you will need to add this rule group to a firewall policy by either clicking on this Firewall Policy tab, or go to the main menu, Endpoint Security, Firewall, under Policies. Then click on Create New Policy. Select the Windows, select the correct platform. For example, for my demo will be Windows. Set any name. Then you can choose whether to create this new policy with an empty policy and from an existing policy. For my demo, I will be using an empty policy. Again, here you can see all the details for this policy, the name, the platform, the status. To enable this status, simply click on Enable button. And the status will be changed from disable to enable. Next, below, under the firewall policy settings, under the enforcement and monitoring, to enforce this policy, simply click on this button. When you enforce this policy, the native firewall rules on the Windows machine will be disabled, and all the firewall rules will be using based on this policy. If you do not want to enforce this policy but to only monitor this policy, simply toggle this button. Next, if any traffic does not meet any of the rules group that I've created earlier on, it will use this firewall policy default traffic rule. I will create explicit deny for both directions. Lastly is to simply save the settings. This concludes the factor sensor firewall management on a Windows machine. Thank you for watching.